At this point, Ms. Conwell, your report. Reconvening the January 3rd organizational meeting of the Cuyahoga County Council. First, I would like to say to the council that I am very deeply honored and privileged to be named the clerk of council, and I will and intend to do a very good job for all of you in this capacity. On to the conducting the election of the council officers. First item, motion number 2011-0003, election of the president of council. Do I hear any motions?
Madam Chair, I move to suspend Rule 2A requiring certain preliminary actions before the election of officers.
Second.
Is that Mr. Rogers? Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion on the motion? There being no discussion, I will now call the roll to suspend the Rule 2A for the purposes of electing officers. Mr. Greenspan.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Mr. Brady.
Yes.
Mr. Germana.
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes.
Mr. Schron.
Yes.
Ms. Conwell.
Yes.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Ms. Conley.
Yes.
Mr. Rogers.
Yes.
Ms. Simon.
Yes.
The vote on the motion to suspend Rule 2A is 11 yeas and 0 nays. The motion is. The floor is now open for nominations for the first president of the Cuyahoga County Council.
Clerk.
Yes, Mr. Miller.
Madam Clerk and my colleagues, I nominate C. Ellen Connolly for President of Council. Judge Connolly has wide judicial and executive experience in Cuyahoga County and has firsthand knowledge of the impact of judicial and educational issues on the well-being of our community. Judge Connolly's election would also help provide balance to Cuyahoga County's leadership structure and help us move Cuyahoga County forward as one community.
Madam Chair.
Yes,
Madam Chair, Chairwoman, I nominate Chuck Germana for Council President. I thought we agreed there would not be any speeches, so I reserve the comments as we agreed as a council.
Are there any other nominations? With no further nominations being made, for President of the Cuyahoga County Council, the nominees are C. Ellen Connolly and Charles Germana. I will now call the roll. Mr. Greenspan.
Mr. Germana.
Mr. Miller.
C. Ellen Connolly.
Mr. Brady.
C. Ellen Conley.
Mr. Germana.
Chuck Germana.
Mr. Gallagher.
Germana.
Mr. Schron.
Mr. Germana.
Ms. Conwell.
C. Ellen Connolly.
Mr. Jones.
C. Ellen Connolly.
Ms. Conley.
Ellen Connolly.
Mr. Rogers.
C. Ellen Connolly.
Ms. Simon.
C. Ellen Connolly.
There are 7 votes for C. Ellen Conley and 4 votes for Charles Germana. With that, the first Cuyahoga County Council President is C. Ellen Conley.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the voters of District 9 who elected me in their overwhelming support for my candidacy. I'd like to also thank all of the members of the council. In this past month and a half, we worked together. We started out in November with people with differing backgrounds and different experiences. We hardly knew each other, but we've come to work together, respect each other's views and opinions, and to come to a consensus on many important issues. I recognize the missteps along the way, but I hope that in this new year, in this new government, we can put all that behind us and move forward. The entire county, this council, and the county executive will be facing many challenges. We will not always agree, but I believe that we will be able to come together. I believe I would be remiss if I would not speak on my behalf and on behalf of the entire council to offer thank yous to Joanne Gross, who's here somewhere, Joe Nanny, and Kelly Neal, and our newly appointed clerk. They have worked with real dedication above and beyond the call of duty. And on behalf of all the council, we'd like to thank them. Also like to thank Gary Holland, who also has been part of the transition team. Once again, he worked to put this event together this evening. The institutional memory that these fine people have been invaluable to helping us to understand the workings of this government and meet the challenges that we face. And also, we'd like to thank the unnamed staff and employees of the county who've worked behind the scenes, who also have helped to put this together, and the laborers and the carpenters who made this room ready for this event. We'd like to thank you all, and let the work begin on the new county council. And we'll move on to the election of vice president of the council. The floor is open for nominations for vice president.
I nominate Sonny Simon for vice president.
Madam President, I nominate Jack Schron.
We have as candidates for vice president Sonny Simon and Jack Schron. There being no further nominations, will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Greenspan,
Mr. Schron,
Mr. Miller,
Sonny Simon.
Mr. Brady,
Sonny Simon.
Mr. Germana,
Sonny Simon.
Mr. Gallagher,
Schron,
Mr. Schron,
Schron.
Ms. Conwell,
Sonny Simon.
Mr. Jones,
Sonny Simon.
Ms. Conley, Mr. Rogers,
Sonny Simon.
Ms. Simon,
Sonny Simon.
The vote stands at Simon 8 and Schron 3.
I will. First of all, thank you so much to my colleagues for having the faith in me to carry out the duty of the Vice President of the newly formed government here in Cuyahoga County. For those who don't know, the Charter provides for the position of a Vice President. The big task involved in that is simply to stand in the shoes of our President when she is unable to serve due to absence or disability. So that will be the job, and also to look over with my colleagues to continue the work we've been doing for the last 2 months. I can't stress enough the talent, the commitment that we have on this council, and I look so forward to working with all of you. And again, on behalf of the public, we have a big job ahead, but we appreciate your faith in us, and we were going to carry it out to the best of our ability. So thank you so much, colleagues.
We have several pieces of legislation that must be passed, basically to keep our county operating. So we will proceed with those matters. We have a motion?
We do, Madam President. In accordance with the Charter, I move that Rule 9D, requiring that ordinances and resolutions be read at 3 separate meetings of council, and Rule 13A, requiring reference to committee, be suspended, and that any ordinances offered today be considered for final passage at this meeting.
I'll second that motion.
Is there any discussion on the motion to suspend the rules? There be no discussion, will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Greenspan?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Germana?
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher?
Yes.
Mr. Schron?
Yes.
Ms. Conwell?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Connolly? Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Ms. Simon?
Yes.
With a vote of 11-0, the motion has passed.
Will the clerk please read the first ordinance?
Ordinance number 2011-0001, an ordinance determining which officers shall give bond and to fix the amount thereof, and declaring the necessity that this ordinance become effective immediately.
Madam President,
Mr. Miller?
I move the adoption of the ordinance as read.
Second.
Is there any discussion? There being no discussion and no objections, will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Greenspan?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Germana?
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher?
Yes.
Mr. Schron?
Yes.
Ms. Conwell?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Connolly?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Ms. Simon?
Yes.
With the votes 11 yeas and 0 nays, the motion passes unanimously. Reading into the record, ordinance number 2011-0002, an ordinance to expire 90 days after its effective date, providing certain procedures for the purchase of goods, supplies, and interests in real estate and other contracts necessary for the continuation of the usual and daily operations of Cuyahoga County government, and declaring the necessity that this ordinance become immediately effective.
Madam Chair, I move for the adoption of ordinance 2011-0002.
Second.
Is there any discussion? There being no further discussion and no objections, will the clerk call the roll?
Mr. Greenspan?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Germana?
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher?
Yes.
Mr. Schron?
Yes.
Ms. Conwell?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Connolly? Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Ms. Simon?
Yes.
The motion has been approved by unanimous vote. Reading into the record, ordinance 2011-00 03, an ordinance to expire 90 days after its effective date, providing for the approval and adoption of a temporary public records policy for Cuyahoga County and declaring the necessity that this ordinance become immediately effective.
I move for the adoption of this ordinance.
I second.
Is there any discussion? There being no discussion and no objections, will the clerk call the roll?
Mr. Greenspan?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Germana?
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher?
Yes.
Mr. Schron?
Yes.
Ms. Conwell?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Conley? Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Ms. Simon?
Yes.
The motion is passed by unanimous vote. Reading into the record, ordinance 2011-0004, an ordinance to expire 90 days after its effective date, providing for the approval and adoption of a code of ethics for Cuyahoga County and declaring the necessity that this ordinance become immediately effective.
I move adoption of the ordinance as read.
Second.
Is there any discussion on this?
Madam President.
Mr. Miller?
Madam President, my colleagues, I plan to vote for this ordinance. It creates a temporary ethics policy for Cuyahoga County, but I want to make the public aware of an issue that we're going to have to deal with in regards to this ordinance. One of the things that this ordinance provides for is that it takes the policy that's in the policy manual that previously only applied to the county employees that were under the control of the county commissioners, and it applies it to all of the employees of Cuyahoga County. And the section in particular on political activity says that that you cannot work for the county and at the same time circulate partisan petitions or run for a partisan office. And there people that were under the elected officials, such as the auditor and the recorder and the clerk of courts, that were not under the county commissioners were allowed, and there are people who are sitting on municipal city councils that have served there for years and have also worked for the county. And so we're going to have to consider whether we want it to be our policy that people cannot do both. So I bring that to everybody's attention, but I do support this to put this in place as the temporary measure. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion?
Chair,
Mr. Germana?
I concur with Mr. Miller, Councilman Miller, concerning the one part of this ordinance where you have council members in cities that have partisan elections are not allowed to hold office. Now, as you know, most cities in Cuyahoga County are chartered city, and many of them are nonpartisan. So any county, classified county employee that is a council person in a chartered city that's nonpartisan elections is not going to be under the same scrutiny under this code. So I think either we need to grandfather those city council persons that are in cities that have partisan elections, or we need to strike it because it's unequal and unfair. The citizens of the cities elect the council people, and I think we should have fair representation throughout the county.
Council is in the process of establishing various committees, and there is an ethics and oversight committee. So I assume that this matter can be referred to the appropriate committee, and then we will have further hearings and discussions on it. Any other comment? Madam Clerk, you may call the roll.
Mr. Greenspan?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Germana?
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher?
Yes.
Mr. Strawn?
Yes.
Ms. Conwell?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Conley?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Ms. Simon?
Yes.
This item has been approved by unanimous vote.
Thank you.
Reading into the record, ordinance number 2011-0005, an ordinance establishing the compensation for members of the county boards of revision and declaring the necessity that this ordinance become immediately effective.
Second.
Is there any discussion? There being no discussion, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Greenspan?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Germana?
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher?
Yes.
Mr. Strawn?
Yes.
Ms. Conwell?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Connolly?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Ms. Simon?
Yes.
The motion has passed unanimously.
Are there any other motions on the floor?
Madam President, motion 2011-0005, adopting the schedule of meetings for 2011. I move that council suspend Rule 5A to adopt the schedule of meetings for 2011 as previously distributed to members of this body.
I second.
Is there any discussion on the motion to suspend? Will you please call the roll?
Mr. Greenspan?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Germana?
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher?
Yes.
Mr. Strawn?
Yes.
Ms. Conwell?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Conley?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Ms. Simon?
Yes.
The motion to suspend the rules has been unanimously passed.
Mr. Brady, did you have a motion?
I move that the schedule of council meetings for 2011 be adopted.
I second that motion.
Okay, is there any discussion? Our meetings will be on Tuesdays at 6 o'clock on alternate Tuesdays as will be set forth in the schedule. Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Greenspan?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Germana?
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher?
Yes.
Mr. Strawn?
Yes.
Ms. Conwell?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Conley?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Ms. Simon?
Yes.
The schedule of meetings for 2011 has been unanimously approved.
Madam President,
Yeah, Mr. Gallagher.
I move that the council suspend Rule 7E to appoint an ad hoc committee pursuant to Rule 13J to address appointments to the Board of Revision.
Second.
Is there any discussion on this?
Madam President, and my colleagues and the public, the Board of Revision is one of the most serious problems facing Cuyahoga County. It is absolutely essential that we set up a process that has integrity, that people can believe in, so that the property values can be properly assessed. And based on the decision by our executive to terminate the existing boards of revision, it is necessary that we appoint new boards of revision. And under the charter, it provides that out of each 3-member board of revision, 2 of the members will be appointed by the county council and 1 by the executive. Therefore, it is necessary that we create a process to screen and choose candidates for appointment, and the purpose of setting up this ad hoc committee is to do so.
Well, Well, I might add that the process has been ongoing, that the opportunity to apply for a position for the Board of Revision was posted on the website. They got, I believe, in excess of some 100 applicants. They took out those persons who did not meet the minimum requirements as set forth. Then those persons who met the minimum requirements were sent a test. That test was graded by the professional staff in human resources for the county. Then those persons who scored the highest on the test were then interviewed. And at this point, then I believe selections were made by the county executive. And at this point, the council will be interviewing candidates. So I believe it's been a very professional and highly selective process to hire these employees.
Madam Chairwoman, just for the benefit of the audience, I believe it was a little over 300 applicants that came in, so that when they understand the interviews tomorrow that will start, will be from a group subset of 300 and down to around 25 names.
Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Mr. Greenspan?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Germana?
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher?
Yes.
Mr. Schron?
Yes.
Ms. Conwell?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Connolly?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Ms. Simon?
Yes.
Unanimous vote that suspending the rules has been approved.
I move that council appoint an ad hoc committee under Rule 13J to address appointments to the Board of Revision, such a committee to include 3 panels to conduct interviews of candidates.
A second.
Is there any discussion? All right, you call the roll, please?
Mr. Greenspan?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Germana?
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher?
Yes.
Mr. Schron?
Yes.
Ms. Conwell?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Conley?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Ms. Simon?
Yes.
The motion to appoint an ad hoc committee on boards of revision appointments has passed unanimously.
We had a number of volunteers to serve on this ad hoc committee. The committee will be made up of Mr. Schron, Mr. Brady, Mr. Jones, Mr. Germana, myself, Mr. Greenspan, Mr. Gallagher, Mr. Rogers, and Mr. Miller, and Mr. Brady will serve as the chairman. The ad hoc committee on the board for the Board of Revisions will meet tomorrow morning, Tuesday, at January the 4th at 8:30 on the second floor of the County Administration Building for the purpose of conducting those interviews. This will only be for the purpose of conducting the interviews. Is there any other business to come before this council? There being no further business and no other hearings, the inaugural meeting of the first session of the Cuyahoga County Council is adjourned until our meeting on Thursday, January the 6th, at the same chambers. Thank you very much for all of you attending.